ashes of the world unite. It's time to roar, to fight the fight against the puppet masters pulling strings. We'll strip away their power, hear our piercing screams. We won't be silenced anymore. Break free from the chains that they adore. Stand tall, unrigging the game we rise. We'll win reality from their lies. Unrig the game, unleash the fury. No longer slaves to their corrupt machinery. Say his name and he appears.
This is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Greetings and welcome to Unrig the Game. How's everybody doing out there this evening? Hope you're doing well and having a good Monday, good start to your week. So happy that you're here to join us for the kickoff show and for Unrig the Game this evening. So continue to read The War and Warriors by Pete Hegseth. Awesome book. Everybody's loving it. It's going well. You should join in the fun. But let me start off by, as always, by thanking those awesome people out there in the winner's circle who make it happen on a monthly basis. Thank you so much for being part of the solution. And a big thanks to Shelly Wolfram and Ronnie Jam for supporting us over on Rumble as well. We are broadcasting live tonight on Rumble, YouTube, and X, and away we go. Guys, this is the kickoff show. If you're tuning in for the book, the way we do it here is we have about an hour-long kickoff show on all three platforms. So when you leave YouTube, staying on Rumble and X, where we do the reading portion of the show, and there's some bonus content at the end. All content on the show is basically right now dealing with national defense, Pete Hegseth, anything that has to do with the Department of Defense and other military type activities, because that's what the book's about and that's what the author's about. So we're kind of keeping it all right here for those topics, and we got some stuff to cover tonight here on the kickoff show. If you are rewatching, thank you so much for tuning in to the video. I do promise you that there is a lot more to this show than just an hour if you're on the YouTube side. So make sure that you follow the link in the description to the Rumble side so that you can join us for the reading portion of the show, because YouTube won't let me play Audible on its platform. So we have to go to another platform that allows people to read audiobooks together, and that would be Rumble and X. So those links will be in the description. They'll also be pinned in the chat eventually as I get to it. And but again, thank you so much. There's also a playlist if you're behind on the book where you can get caught up. This is our 6th book in the series on Unrig the Game. So there's actually 5 other books in the playlist over on Rumble that you can choose from. Highly recommend Control Oligarchs by Seamus Bruner and Big Intel by J. Michael Waller, as well as Government Gangsters by Cash Patel. These are all great books that are timely and will get you educated and give you some insight. People that are actually in there involved in these type of activities, what their experiences are. And I tell you what, all these books I just recommended to you have very base takes. So if you're into that base reality type thinking, you're going to enjoy these books very much so. And it will expand your knowledge at the same time. So anyways, we are off. This is the kickoff show. Tonight we'll be reading chapters 8 and 9. 8, supporting DEI means soldiers die. And 9, men need purpose, not inclusion. These are 2 chapters. So we'll be reading it tonight after the kickoff show. Let's get it going, guys. Let me start by saying hello to this awesome crowd out here. Who are my VIPs in the front row tonight? MJ, how you doing in the door first? Hello, MJ. How you doing? Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Hello to everybody. There's Wolfram. Wolfram, thank you for dropping those links, my friend. How are you doing this wonderful Monday evening? So good to see you guys. Remember, when you're here, to always listen to the wolf. It's important because he knows what he's talking about. And at some point, he wipes his paws, he looks in. Yeah. And that's how you know the upper mod is in the house. All right. So scroll back up. Here, scroll back up. All right. And let me see. There is Shelly talking trash and truths, our hostess with the mostest. Say hello to everybody as they get into the door. Thank you for being here, Shelly. And thank you for all you do And she is also she's over there on Rumble. She's everywhere you want to be. Heidi, how's it going? Good to see you, Heidi. Thanks for holding down the Rumble side for us. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well today. There you go. All right. Remember, Rumble, we're counting on you. You guys are the ones who get us out in the algorithm. So make sure that when you come in to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button, whatever they call it over there. It's the one that it's the base button. We call it the base button, right? If you're based, you hit thumbs up. If you're not, you hit the thumbs down. Doesn't matter because you interact with the stream and that helps get us out there. Either way, Ronnie Jams on the Rumble side. How you doing, Ronnie Jams? How you doing? Thank you for supporting the channel. Good to see you over there. That's where we're going to all end up eventually. And as we get into that, I need to make sure that I get everybody here. The VIPs for Monday are in the house. All right. We'll get people here. All right, cool. And let me go over to I gotta do one more thing. Go over to whoa, that's everywhere. I don't want to be. I go over to Rumble and I gotta grab that link over there. Share, copy. Boom. All right. And I gotta add it to the description. And then I've done my everything I need to do almost. Let's see. That is 8. That is 8. Okay, good. All right. So we're gonna add it in right here. And I take that and I put it in the chat. All right. Cool. That'll stay there. That'll go back over here. And coming at you is the links, guys. Coming at you. So what's everybody got their eyes on today, huh? What's everybody interested in today? What is going on out there? It's not our time to hang out, guys. It's now our time to hang out. There we go. And pinned for good measures. There we have it. Let's do. Should we just do? So you got an hour. Let's do 5. We'll do 5. All right. There we go. All right, so a little small one. Always got to put a goal out there. Support the channel, especially in these trying times. We're not back to where we need. We're not back on that easy street yet. We got to get back on there. Working on it. All right. So, guys, what do you want to talk about? What should we talk about? Huh? I do have some stuff that's DEI related. I thought it'd be interesting to throw out there, but this is our time. And again, if you're tuning in looking for the book, it's going to be here just before you know it. But what you got to do is follow the link in the description over Rumble, and just go ahead about the hour mark, and then you'll hit the reading portion of it. You'll see the book up on screen. Then that's how you know you're in the right spot. If you want to skip the intro, the kickoff show, that is. For those of you who are here, that's why we do it. We do it just to hang out and see who shows up, who's interested in the book, maybe wants to come over and follow us to Rumble. Rumble, you're doing great over there. You're doing great over there, Rumble. We're up to 673. Had a nice pickup here lately. Good to see. And yeah, there we have it. All right. X is still X. There's no X. X is just X. After I lost my first account, I have not had the will or the drive to rebuild that account because it took a lot of work to build the other one up. And I always felt kind of buried over on X anyways. It's just like, I don't know what it is. I'm not grifty enough to exist on X, but maybe one day it'll be a better place for us. So I'm not expending too much energy. I need my energy in other places right now. But when the time comes, I'll rebuild X. I know it looks pathetic over there with 63, probably mostly bots following me. But the lives do pretty well still. You know, they still do all right. They still do all right. People come and watch them. That's good. Especially if it's got a catchy subject, like JFK files. That was, as soon as I went live, it's like hundreds of people there. Well, kind of, right? Hundreds of views, put that way. We don't know if they're people or not. A lot of that stuff going around these days. I think some people have just kind of like decided that's okay to do. Literally, I've seen streams that I know of scheduled for the next day with like hundreds of supposed people in there waiting. like what, hours ago in the middle of the night, and no one's talking and nothing's changed on the video at all. But there's just hundreds of people sitting there, like someone had forwarded them that, and forwarded them there from their night stream or something, or one of their friends' night streams, and they're just sitting there. It's just quiet. It's like, it's great when you can start your show with hundreds of views already like tallied up. That's nice. But there's that stuff going around. You never can tell. I think some people are just like, well, man, it's so hyper competitive that, that's the only way to get it done. Yeah. Reach the right people. Keep showing up, and it'll happen for you. Let's go. Let's start it off right. Thank you for the super chat. Shelly talking trash, choose $5 super chat, getting us kicked off the night right. Booby, me and you have been boobied. You are welcome, and thank you. All right, thank you so much. We get it started off right, guys, right. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Monday. Not all that much chatting going on, at least not. So I'm gonna go ahead and oh, that's right. I got to do it this way now. That's weird. There's a new way to do things in StreamYard, as always. Yeah, okay. Why would I push it all the way down there? So many tabs. Now I gotta find that. Let's see. Oh, there it is. It's already up. All right, got it. Okay, here we go. That was not my clip. Oh, you want your clip? Okay. Sorry. That was your clip. Has your logo on it and everything. Can't beat that. That gets it going right. That gets it going right. All right, Democrats stunned after a black Republican exposes the real reason white liberals support DEI. Since our chapters tonight, and a lot of this is having to do with DEI. Hey, Snipe, what's going on? You're just in time. How you doing? Let's dig into this piece and make sure I got on winning speed, and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on here. All right. Here we go.
That's going to take a new, fresh generation of leadership. I think it's going to take leaders with fresh legs. I see Josh Williams right there. Good to see you, my man. From Ron McCauley to Josh Williams, we got a new generation of leaders rising up across our state.
Bake for governor.
The second part of that is if there's disciplinary issues where maybe we have, instead of kicking a kid off the campus for racist comments or whatever, they can use maybe some DEI type of programming so that they could say, hey, this will help maybe remedy the situation and give you a better understanding of why one person would feel that's offensive. So
it was very interesting on the DEI portion that the sponsor of the amendment said that if a student got disciplinary actions for a comment or something they said on campus, that they could then take DEI classes, or actually said DEI programming, right, as a form of not getting disciplined. That's very interesting to me, since members, well, one particular member of the Democrat caucus, a white member who made comments towards a black member, just had to go under implicit bias training because of it. Like, that's very interesting.
proceed with your point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I think that was out of line, and we want to get back to the bill and back to the amendment. Thank you.
Very good. Proceed with your remarks, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. They always say when you throw a brick in a pack of dogs, the one that you hit yelps. Facts hurt.
What?
I'm sorry. Facts hurt.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about the woke revolutionaries in Ohio, the college students, a lot of whom are far left communists, that have decided to protest, stage walkouts, march against an anti-DEI bill that has advanced to the Senate of Ohio. Okay, the state Senate is now considering SB 1, which is a bill in which Republicans say promotes free speech on campus while at the same time limiting diversity initiatives. Okay, and the students And the Democrats, they are boohoo, whining, and crying about this and spreading all types of false information about what this bill actually does. Take a look.
Yep.
Well, students across the state are protesting the progress of Senate Bill 1 in the Ohio State House. The Advanced Ohio Higher Education Act, which passed in the House yesterday, intends to protect free speech on campus and ban all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, courses, and mandatory training as well. So our Ch.8 is at Kent State University. That's where more than 100 students protested against the bill today.
Senate Bill 1 is not the way. Senate Bill 1 is not the way.
More than one
Communist chants echoed the campus as Whitey gets up there and leads a diversity, equity, and inclusion rally.
100 Kent State University students standing in solidarity against Senate Bill 1 Thursday.
Kill that bill.
According to Bill's sponsor,
Just
Ohio
us
State
girls.
Senator Jerry Serino, SB 1 aims to eliminate DEI programming, staff, consultants, titles, and spending.
I mean, dude, there's your crew. There's your crew. I mean, there's your crew. There's the ones. Yes. Graham, what's up?
This is what democracy looks like.
No, that's what communists sound like. It's not what democracy looks like. It's what communists sound like. This is what communists sound like. This is what communists sound like.
He said, quote, "My bill will return our public universities and colleges to their rightful mission of education rather than indoctrination. We also must return to teaching students how to think rather than what to think, and how to listen to opposing views with a respectful but critical ear."
Hold on. What do you say? Turn to teaching students how to think rather than what to think. Okay. How to listen to opposing views with a respectful but critical ear. Yeah, there you go. Anti-communist basically is what we need to teach. We need to deprogram them from communism, from Marxist mind control. You know what would do that is people learned logic again and like really learned how to apply it. I know I've heard that somewhere.
Rather than what to think, and how to listen to opposing views with a respectful but critical ear.
Kill that bill.
The student protesters and the professors who joined them wholeheartedly disagree.
And the
Senate Bill
professors.
1 is not the way.
Everybody chant in the very same way. Dude, I like, if I was a younger man, I probably would get out there and like start like just co-opting these chants and like just get people slightly moving in a different direction with them. So much fun. These people are they're just you know, they're lemmings, so they're just falling at each other off the cliff. But I mean, they're so easy just to slide a little bit of something in there and they're all chanting it all of a sudden.
What I feel most problematic about SB 1 is
I know nothing about it, but I'm sitting here talking about it.
the fact that they're trying to erase history. I think one of the things
It gets frustrating, doesn't it? It gets frustrating. This is a person obviously holding dearly to her critical race theory, what makes her a victim, right? And so she thinks that we're trying to erase history. We're trying to repair it. That's the sad part. She doesn't, again, box into a narrative, always bringing you the examples of narrative-based mind control. It's real. It's on your YouTube every day. It's right there in front of you. I just help you see it. I help other people see it. I just collect it for you, right? You can see it just fine, but I find it. I don't know if this is a dude or a chick. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're still under mind control.
is the removal of the identity centers. Here on campus, we have a lot of those. Each of those would
Everybody already has an identity. Why do you need a center for it?
just either have to be taken off campus or just be funded entirely by something different, which is hard. Like, it's hard to find funding already for these programs.
The bill very clearly infringes on academic freedom of professors.
3 News reached
Oh, yeah, the freedom. They're taking away their freedom to subvert young minds. Oh, my goodness gracious. We should have the freedom to subvert young minds. We've been doing it our entire lives. We've been doing it for decades. Why are you going to stop us now? Oh, we're just getting around to it, huh? Well, look at this crew, dude. Look at this crew. Who wants to hang out with that crew? Me. All right. Hey, let's keep the party rolling. At the $15 level. Sorry, somebody fell over here or something. Amp33, thank you for the $5 stream. Super chat. Mind virus is activity. Mind virus is active. Good day. It is. And it's like, you can see it, right? You can see how these people are just boxed into this false reality. They've lost their reality. That's the whole thing, right? We're winning ours because we're not in these boxes. I mean, they honestly believe the things they're saying. And that's the sad part.
Out to KSU administration about the bill and demonstration and a
Small protest. Small. It's like, tell me this one isn't a joy and a lot of fun to have around, right? Boy.
spokesperson said KSU.
He's got a mass murderer mask on his jacket. He's got a bloody Jason mask on his jacket.
Who upholds the First Amendment?
What's going on here?
Amendment rights of free speech and peaceful.
This guy's dressed like a woman. Yeah. Bunch of mind control victims.
Assembly for all. After the protest, the students went to write letters to state lawmakers. We also reached out to Senator Serino, and he said
they couldn't spell.
He strongly supports the students' right to demonstrate, but asks how they can be against the free intellectual inquiry and equal standards that he's pushing for. SB1 now goes back to the Senate for review.
Yeah, so you're saying that, you heard that, okay? These students think that this bill is going to, quote unquote, erase history, okay? Because they have been tricked and fooled and led astray by the Democrats into believing that this bill is actually going to be beneficial towards them, particularly the so-called students of color. And that leads me to the actual debate on the bill that happened on the Ohio House floor, in which Republican Josh Williams made one of the most compelling arguments that I have heard against DEI from the perspective of a black person, right? A so-called person of color who, again, according to the white Democrats, is supposed to benefit from DEI. Because, again, the white liberals are doing it because they love the blacks, right? They love so-called people of color so much. Except I think most reasonable black people, educated black people, accomplished black people understand how the push for DEI, okay, these diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives actually hurt black people who have truly earned their positions in society or their company or an organization or institution. It hurts those who actually really have earned their jobs.
One of my colleagues earlier said, why are we afraid of the truth? Well, I'm not afraid of the truth, but about 90% of what I heard from my Democrat colleagues was untruthful as it relates to this bill. And I'll go through in minute detail. So for instance, it was alleged that this will get rid of black fraternities and black student unions. Well, that means you didn't read the bill, because in line 772, it says nothing in this section prohibits a state institution of higher education from complying with any state or federal law to provide disability services or to permit student organizations, including fraternities and sororities. It's right there in the text. Again, individuals said that this was going to whitewash history and our ancestry, right, and our past. It was going to suppress free speech in the classroom. We were going to dictate what subjects we couldn't talk about. I would simply say, look at line 768, where it literally says nothing in this section prohibits faculty or students from classroom instruction, discussion, or debate, as long as the faculty member allows the student to express intellectual diversity. Equity is just a closeted way of trying to put in quotas. That's all it is. If you believe that a room full of 100 people has to have 13 black members because that's the breakdown of society and you only find 5 qualified candidates, how do you get to your 13-member quota? You have to drop the standard in order to get more minorities in the room. Well, what does that do for the 5 members that got there based off their merit? What does that do for me, who has a Juris Doctorate, my wife who has a master's degree and has served in corporate rooms for 20 years? What does that do for me, who was already in the room? What happens is the other 87 members look at all of us as though the reason we're present is because of the DEI policies. You diminish my presence there based off my merit because you want to try to provide for a phantom land where every boardroom, every university, every classroom, every chamber should represent equally the diversity of the United States.
It is unfeasible and it's illogical, okay? Because again, none of these individuals would advocate for the NFL or the NBA or any predominantly black institution, sports league, organization, company, whatever. Nobody would advocate for the NFL to have diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes to their players, right? Because if
Yeah, they wouldn't go to Africa and tell them the same thing either, right? They wouldn't go anywhere else in the world but here and try this bullshit.
They actually believed in that, then only 13% of the NFL should be black, right? In fact, the majority of the NFL should be white. Where are these people advocating for more white running backs and white quarterbacks, right? We don't see that. Where are all the people advocating for the white wide receivers, okay? Or the white NBA players who are underrepresented? Yeah, they're nowhere to be found because we all know that anybody advocating for that will look like an idiot, right? They would sound like an idiot, okay? So again, they do this stuff when it comes to higher education, corporate America, the government, right? Even though, again, they all know that is illogical. It doesn't make sense. However, it makes the white liberal feel good, okay? Even though it, hey,
that's what's most important,
at least
right?
Black liberals agree with this argument. They
Isn't
say it all
that
the
what's
time,
most
hey,
important?
DEI doesn't really benefit black people like that. It actually benefits the white woman, right? We don't benefit like that. And I'm like, okay, well, if you
That's why there's so many of them out there pushing for
really
it.
believe that, if that is true, then why are you boohoo whining and crying so much? I don't understand. Why are these black liberals boohoo whining and crying about Republicans essentially banning something that primarily benefits white women? Well, probably because the black bourgeoisie definitely benefit from it, for sure, okay? In my opinion, I personally say that DEI benefits the black bourgeoisie and white liberals, and regular, normal, everyday black folks don't really benefit. And it is certainly not beneficial for the straight white man, okay? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that's what DEI is about the most. It's about trying to hurt the straight white man while pretending as if it is helping minorities or everyday minorities when it's only helping the bourgeoisie minorities.
In some people's minds,
and
yep.
white liberal women, which is also a point that this representative drove home during this House session that I thought was a very compelling point. Take a look.
I know what I believe DEI is, and I believe truthfully, it is simply a way the left is using the minority community, the black community, to get their agenda in.
And a way to divide and cause racial tensions in this country so that you can collapse it, so that people cannot come to reasonable conclusions, right? Divide. It's critical theory, which is cultural Marxism. Behind that is the collapse of Southern countries. You do that by picking out old wounds. You find the most divisive thing you can do, and you do that. And so that divides race here and keeps color alive in this country far beyond its expiration date, which was really a long time ago, decades ago. And on the backs of that, they've learned how to try to destroy the nuclear family with gender theory, right? And that's how you just wreck and destroy lives before they start, by attacking the youngest generation with it, and ensure that the nuclear family is diminished over a generational span or two, right? And not only that, you just break the kids, you break you're ideologically subverting them from these things through these critical theory spinoffs, like critical race theory and critical gender theory. These things are destructive. So what he's saying is exactly what I've been, what we're saying here, in that
that's what I believe. But don't let facts get in the community to get their agenda in. The left is using the minority community, the black community, to get their agenda in. That's what I believe. But don't let facts get in the way of my feelings.
But there they are, standing out, putting their faces on cameras, shouting and chanting in unison like a bunch of commies, right? And that's what you say. That's what you say. The mind control is real, man. Like, that's the thing that doesn't get talked about enough, right? I think I probably talk about it more than anybody at this point, at least the people that I listen to. They're hitting it as it is, but the root is box into a narrative, mind control's body. Boom. There it is. Now suddenly you're standing in front of him. You're standing out on your college campus with a bunch of people under the same condition as you, shouting in unison about something you don't really understand, but there you are. Right? There you are. Something that is really detrimental to everybody. And there you are defending it. There you are being a useful idiot for it. Mind control is real. Narrative-based mind control is real. That's it.
So let's just look. Black Enterprise magazine, a staple in the black community, wrote an article noting a study.
Thanks for being here, MJ. I hope you feel better.
Of all chief diversity officers in corporate America, how many of you think are black? 4%. 4%.
What?
78% white. Well, Well, let's look at the actual study that it cites. All right, you can come and see it by Zippa, looking at these professions. 76.1% white, 3.8% black. Well, let's keep going. In 2011, 3.78% of all chief diversity officers in the United States were black. 10 years later, in 2021, the time of this study, 3.78% were black. We had DEI policies the whole time. We didn't gain a percentage point. But during that same time, white women gained more in that same study. How do we know? Well, we can look at some other studies. Here's Forbes magazine, who actually, this is what the title is, who benefits from diversity and inclusion efforts? Well, let's see. It's cited, according to another McKinsey study, white women hold nearly 19% of all C-suite positions, while racial and ethnic minority women hold only 4%. Overall, white women have benefited disproportionately from corporate DEI policies. Don't let facts get in the way of your feelings. Let's look at Crimson, Harvard University. When we were studying diversity, equity, and inclusion in administration and admissions process at universities, they went and asked white students whether or not they supported DEI. Overwhelmingly, they said yes. But let's see why. White students at elite universities tend to view affirmative action favorably, most often because they believe diversity benefits them personally, according to the study published in the Harvard Graduate School of Education.
Interesting.
By Professor Natasha Warrical. Warrical interviewed almost 100 white students at Harvard, Brown, and Oxford. It was sometimes problematic because they saw affirmative action as something to benefit themselves, the white students, rather than a policy that was about justice or racial equality or access. Her research also demonstrated that white students typically believe they want admission to their respective schools based on merit alone. By contrast, many white undergraduates said they believe Black and Latino students benefited from affirmative action, and that's why they were on campus. See, all that did was reinforce racial stereotypes.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Okay, now again, we can debate all day about who DEI benefits the most. Okay, liberal white women or so-called people of color. I think the real point here that has been driven home is that these Democrats are not doing this out of the kindness of their heart, right? Like they're not just trying to protect DEI because they love blacks. Right?
They've never done anything out of the kindness of their heart.
Right? Well, so-called people of color, immigrants, or whoever. That's not what they're doing. They're doing it because it is just another form of power and control, right? It's another form of power and control for them. Okay. And if it didn't benefit them, then they wouldn't be doing it, right? But they're doing it because it benefits them, right? They don't care about whether or not it benefits the minorities, because in my opinion, again, regular, everyday, normal, so-called people of color that are not a part of the college indoctrinated bourgeoisie, yeah, it don't really benefit those people, right? It doesn't benefit them at all. Okay. So, you know, it's just funny because Democrats, they pretend as if they are fighting on behalf of so-called minorities, okay? And they weaponize the causes of the minority, okay? The hardships of the minority in order to benefit themselves, right? Just for more power and control, because ultimately at the end of the day, the so-called minorities are just a tool for Democrats to push their agenda, right? Regardless of whether or not it benefits the so-called minority. And you see this so much, right? When it comes to certain policies, like, for example, abortion, that disproportionately negatively impacts the Black population, right? Because Black women disproportionately receive more abortions than every other demographic. So when you talk about the amount of Black babies that are aborted every single year, that is severely limiting Black population growth, right? And that in and of itself, again, is something that hurts the Black community, right? But again, whose agenda is that, right? That's the agenda of the Democrat Party that is primarily ran by white liberals at this point, particularly white liberal women, okay? To be honest with you, that is who's running the Democrat Party.
So see this. White women with at least a college degree, the only group of white voters that really kind of is on the left politically, aligned with progressive causes, democratic politics. Give you an example here. It's that DEI question, right here that we asked about in our poll. We had two big statements we read to voters. Basically, do you want to continue DEI programs or do you think they should be ended? And again, look at this divide here. White men, no degree, end it. White men with a degree, end it, they say. White women, no degree, end it, they say, by double digits. And then white women with a college degree, completely different by a nearly 40-point margin, they say, to continue DEI.
So I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. Hey, I agree with you. And I'll add, it seems like mind control works best on that particular group, especially in college indoctrination levels of it. So whatever they're doing to women in colleges, it's doing a good number on them. Doing a good number on them. That's there's a lot of mind control going on there.
When you start to kind of piece things together in regards to certain Democrat policies, and then you look at the actual effect on the minorities, okay, that Democrats claim they're trying to protect, that they love so much that they're trying to help out, and you see that, no, actually, this don't really benefit minorities like that, but it definitely benefits liberal white women, or at the very least, this is what liberal white women are pushing the most. I mean, again, look at any abortion rally, right? Any of these pro-choice rallies, primarily liberal white women, okay? But I'm just saying that when you start to kind of piece together these patterns,
and everybody else there are their pets.
You know, it kind of makes sense, right? It kind of makes sense, and it's disturbing to think about, right? It's very disturbing to think about the paternalistic relationship that the Democrat Party has, particularly, again, a party ran by liberal white women, has with so-called minorities. Yeah, it is disturbing to think about. So, hey, I just found this argument from this Republican in Ohio to be compelling enough to share. And let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
All right. So what do you guys think about that? All right, let's do that. What do you guys think about that out there? I say. Anybody got an opinion on this Monday? I think that it's very interesting stats. I gotta say that. Very interesting. Protect your daughters from college. That's where looks like that's where they're getting screwed up the most. And it has so many, I mean, I'm glad they're calling out this, who's behind driving what. But what's making them choose that lane? That's what I ask. I'm like, okay, oh yeah, now we know. I think we already kind of subconsciously knew. There's the numbers to support it. Right. They need to chill out. Stop being so crazy and angry. But how can they do that when everything's making them that way? How can they do it when everything's making them that way? They're being told they need to be that way. They're being influenced by society. They are being shown role models, act crazy, do stupid things, act like you have no consequences. Act however you want, beg for forgiveness later. Right? These little things that push them into these kind of places. I don't know. It's just interesting that maybe roll back the clock to the feminist movement. Who drives that, right? And why, and what their objective is. And this is another kind of like, I don't know, maybe they've been cattled in that direction, They've been steered into, oh, look, we can be even more effective getting what we want and pushing our agenda if we get behind this agenda too, right? Co-opting agendas. Well, we all know that, the liberal scene over there, they treat minorities like pets, right? That they somehow own them. It's like people think that the Democrats switch parties. Though the racist party is still Democrat. The party of slavery is still Democrat. The party of Jim Crow is still Democrat. All they've done is change strategies, right? Because they're, as always, positions, views, their objectives, their methodologies, and their agenda are always, once uncovered, unfavorable, and people don't like it. They don't have a platform. They're not a real party, right? What do they stand for? They don't stand for anything. They stand for obstruction. They stand for corruption. They stand for high taxes. They stand for living in deficit. They stand for division. They stand for globalism. What do they stand for? Nobody can. I ask this question all the time now. Not even, and nobody can even ever tell me what they stand for. They don't stand for anything. They stand for, and let's take a look at the last 4 years of a establishment administration, right? Well, they had control over everything. What did they stand for? Open borders, high crime, money laundering. What did they get done? Anybody name one thing they got done besides that wasn't destructive? That wasn't about just overrunning our country and breaking it into pieces? These sanctuary cities, that wasn't like accomplishment. That was a hindrance. It caused debt. It caused crime. It caused death. It caused all kinds of bad things to happen. Destruction of private property, over the degradation of cities. Nothing got accomplished. What do they stand for? The primary base of that party now is this very same group pushing for DEI and controlling the minds of people with this false narrative propaganda that they unleash onto their objectified or subjectified useful idiots. You know, they'll age out, but what do we gonna do, right? In the meantime, they're the ones putting up the resistance to keep calling it out, right? Let's see. I need to chill. Never thought I'd yearn for the girls gone wild crowd again. I'd rather they act wild than act crazy. Yeah, go wild, don't go crazy. Who benefited from the feminist movement? Women still had to do the roles they had already in regards to kids in the home, but now had to work a job and lose the benefits of men being men. Oh yeah, not to mention they just go to work and be told what to do by another man, right? Or another figure, another figure of such, right? You got your boss, you got the company itself. Now the company becomes the man for them, which is unfulfilling, right? And they're being told what to do by that group, and they think they're being told what to do at home, but they're really just being a part of something. They're part of not being told what to do. They're being included in what's going on, and they're holding up their end of the relationship, right? All feminists did is tell me I could do everything a man could do, so I don't need one. I would be better off on my own without a man. Life update. It still very much isn't better, right? Right, and that's what they're trying. Well, so what's the deal there? It's to attack men, right? Divisive. So that was that critical gender not gender theory, critical sex theory. Basically the divide between men and women. That was the first one to go, wasn't it? That was the first thing that they did, was the sexism attack, right? Not to say that there weren't some. The practices didn't need to be evolved into a more humane and modern relationship. Like we should evolve with times. Things that went down back in the ancient days, or back in the early days. That stuff needed to be improved upon. The way, just better treatment of people. However, that didn't mean go all the way out to the other end of it. It's like saying, yeah, there was some racial tensions in the past, but now in order to make up for that, we have to go all the way over in the other direction and reverse the racial tensions. Like, that doesn't make any sense. We should all be coming to a place of truth where, like, none of that's good for anybody, so let's not have it. Same with sexism, and they put the women on the attack, right? They've turned them into activists, and what happens is they end up screwing their lives up and they become miserable, or like, oh, see, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, where the ones that stayed trad end up being the most happiest women there are, so it's a shame. Again, another part of the cycle of abuse, that it powers a cycle of control, right? Breaking the young ones, breaking the youngest generations, and sending them out into the world corrupted and demoralized, so they can continue the process and pass it down, right? That's the way, we'll keep seeing it over and over again unless we learn how to stop it by putting up those mental barriers to such subversion. It really does drill down to that. I was listening to this guy earlier today. He said it's hard to it's hard to get over a new concept. It's like it's one of the most difficult things. It's like most people just vamp off old concepts. If you're trying to put a new perception, a new way of looking at things out there, if you're trying to introduce new ideas and get people on board with understanding things in a different way, it's probably one of the most challenging tasks. CIA. Okay. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In this anatomy of the hidden math behind every conspiracy. I thought this was interesting. It didn't go where I thought it would go, but it went somewhere cool at the same time. I was going to save this for a special time, right? So I think it's relevant here because if there's a conspiracy to divide men and women, right, and we're trying to get across the idea that people's minds are being controlled into doing such things, that would be the new idea that you're trying to get across, the new perception. And why is it hard to get across? Or why is it not in them? Immediately it come to mind when talking about these topics. You notice that like that's the really unique thing about here, right? The really neat. Hey, Judge Maddie, what's up? How you doing? That's the really unique thing is like about here, right? Is you get that perspective, but that perspective isn't out there. You won't hear a lot of the creators, even that I pull up that I like, and I think are really based and do a really great job. Not even though they get into that level of calling out the problem, right? But once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? So once you get there, you start to understand what we really need to fight against. But you're already fighting against it just by knowing about it. That's step one. Freeing yourself from it, keeping yourself in check on it, and also helping other people come to the realization about where this type of behavior comes from, right? It's not just because they're, people want to get angry and call them idiots, call them names. I always just, if you want to be a victim, they're victims of mind control. There you go. Now you're a victim, right? Now you're a victim. You thought you were a victim of something else, but this is what you're really a victim of. So there you go. You're happy. But they really are being blindly attacked. They don't see the attack coming. So at that point, it's kind of like, yeah, you're dry. You're annoying the hell out of me with the shit, right? But I still have a duty to defend you and try to pull you out of it in some way, shape, or form, because you're being blindly attacked. And had you not been blindly attacked into this state of being, this condition that you're in, you would likely be a much different person that would be reasonable and willing to work on the truth rather than this emotional narrative trap that you're living in, this false reality. But let's take a look at this real quick. You like this? Andrew Bustamante, there he is. He's gonna explain the hidden math behind every conspiracy. It's real quick. So I do have this at running speed, right? Nope. Speed it up. Here we go.
We play probabilities, right? And then sometimes probabilities are high enough that they dictate action. Sometimes probabilities are low enough that they dictate patience, right? The anatomy of a conspiracy, exactly what you're talking about, right? Every conspiracy starts with a fact. Something happens. Then immediately following that fact, we're faced with something that's not known, right? Whether it's what happened with FTX or whether it's what happened with this dude in the Bahamas. We're faced with something that's not known. Once you're faced with something that's not known, the natural human tendency, not among dumbasses, but among smart people, right? Conspiracy theorists are for the most part pretty smart people, right? The next natural reaction when you're facing unknown information is skepticism. Skepticism. You're asking yourself, why don't I know this? Why doesn't somebody know this? Shouldn't somebody know this? Right? Those are the first three steps in the birth of a conspiracy. And then it's human nature that when you become skeptical, then you start to write a story in your head that erases the skepticism. You connect the dots on your own with a piece missing in between.
There you go, the missing link.
And then it just starts to cycle.
That's perfect.
And
that's well explained.
And because you're coming up with a logical, sound explanation at the end, all the other smart people and all the dumbasses out there, they can connect your story very quickly. So that's how conspiracies, boom, take off like wildfire.
And the agency is a nice missing link for a lot of stories. Well,
very interesting, isn't it?
What you never really know about it, but those guys know exactly what happened. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But it provides that missing link. It provides that bridge for skepticism to rid yourself of that and write your story.
What about when something's so obviously backed by something unknown, right? There's people who could define and say, oh, I know this thing is this, and they really have no evidence for that. But you look at something like the Epstein story, we know there's a massive conspiracy there. Who's behind it is a whole nother question. But I feel like intelligence organizations, perhaps around the world, not focused on the CIA right now, who could have some sort of exposure to that in some way, have every reason to be able to say, oh no, this guy was just a scumbag doing his thing or whatever. You guys are all conspiracy theorists talking about this.
Right.
And then they don't report about it in the mainstream media because they're all tied to it, by the way, but still.
Right. And to be fair, before the whole Epstein thing came out, it was like something like we were just looking at, and everyone was going, you guys are fucking crazy, thinking that, you know, this could be some sort of bigger scheme. And then it all comes out, he gets arrested, and then the fucking book comes, or not the book, we didn't get the book, but we get evidence that, you know, Clinton went down there and all this stuff. And it's like, oh wow, this did happen. And now we're like, okay, but if this happens all the time. That's why I always make the joke. I love the joke. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? 6 months.
Yeah, the thing to understand is that all covert influence, United States covert influence, Russian covert influence, Guatemalan covert influence, all covert influence starts with a stigma. Nobody creates a new story out of nowhere. You know how hard it is to get people motivated behind a brand new narrative that's never been said before? It's almost impossible. So you start by targeting an existing issue. You start by targeting an existing stigma. And then you just add fire to that stigma. You want to change an election anywhere in South America? You basically just fund one side or the other because
listen to the expert people.
Right? Take, you know, all laughing aside, look what happened in 2016, 2020. Look what happened in 2022, right? You saw all this funding come in for messages on one side or the other, right? Funding for Facebook, funding for Instagram, all these ads, all these groups. You had FBI and NSA and CIA and the director of counterintelligence for the United States openly telling everybody, be warned, you will see Russian meddling, you will see Chinese meddling. You had the Russian head of propaganda formally announced 2 days before the election this year. We are Russian. We are taking part in meddling in election. They publicly announcing it. We're meddling in the election this year. We're doing it right now. Right? You pick a stigma, and that's what you fund. That's exactly how covert influence works. Now, does that mean that there are programs in the United States funded by CIA intentionally misdirecting the American people? That goes against all the authorities. That goes against everything we were taught. Now, does that mean that the CIA is going to step in and tell CNBC or CNN when they're saying something that's wrong? No, they're not going to do that.
They're not going to do that.
So that's exactly the martial art tactic. We don't stop an enemy. We let him go. We help him to go in the direction we want them to go.
Perfect example. If you remember, back in like June or July, the death toll for Russian soldiers was something ridiculous, like 80,000 dead Russians, 4,500 dead Ukrainians, as reported by a Ukrainian general. That stuff goes out there, gets approved in the news, goes out. That's all part of a giant war, information war that's happening between NATO countries and Russian countries. That doesn't mean it's coming from the United States. It means that somebody somewhere is providing that information somehow. When the United States head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff finally comes out and comments on the death toll, he did it, 2 days ago? Yeah. What did he say? 100,000 dead on both sides. All that misinformation, 8 months of misinformation corrected with one formal statement from the Joint Chief of Staff, right? That's it. 100,000 dead on both sides. That's a crazy number of people, but it sets a completely new point of view on that conflict. No longer are these Ukrainian soldiers hyper proficient and the Russians idiots. Instead, you see pretty much a war of attrition between two sides that even with all that Western funding, all that Western intel, all that Western military might, it's still essentially a very close and intimate fight.
Many civilians.
Yeah, it's terrible, right? So that is how information warfare happens. That's how influence campaigns happen. So yes, stigma is everything.
There we go. Stigma is everything, whatever that means. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Very, very mellow kickoff show tonight. Hang on a second. Okay. Very mellow kickoff show tonight. Very mellow mellow Mondays. Right here with the mellow crew. Everybody's mellow. Guys, Rumble, what's up? You guys ready to rock and roll? I think we're just gonna get this freaking party on the road a little sooner tonight, man. It's too rowdy over here on the UT side for me. Everything's too rowdy. Thanks to everybody who super chatted tonight, tried to reach the goal. We're a couple shy, but I appreciate everybody who helped out. Pinned in the comments are the stream links to Rumble and to X. for the reading portion of this evening. Wow, look at me. I'm like way the frick out in front, aren't I? Whoa, hey, yo. Back into space where I belong. All right. One of those nights. One of those nights. That's cool, guys. We're going to have a good old-fashioned fun week right coming up. We're going to be back tomorrow night, winning tonight, Tuesday edition. There was a cabinet meeting that we're going to check out, and a bunch of other stuff coming out. And the let's see, in the after show. Well, actually, shoot, what time is it? I did want to do one thing. I forgot one thing here. We got time for this, actually, believe it or not. It's such a short little stint. Here we go. I can totally fit it in right now because we didn't get our quick update from Pete Hegseth. We need a quick update. I was supposed to do that before I left. So boom, bonus coverage already. Here we go. Quick update from Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Let's go.
We're back with another quick update on our efforts to cut wasteful spending and cut it quickly at the Department of Defense. So we get the dollars to the things that the warfighters need. So today I'm signing a memo directing the termination of over $580 million in DoD contracts and grants that do not match the priorities of this president or this department. In other words, they are not a good use of taxpayer dollars. Ultimately, that's who funds us. And we owe you transparency and making sure we're using it well. So here's quickly what we're canceling today. There's an HR software effort that was supposed to take a year and cost $36 million, but instead it's taken 8 years and is currently $280 million over budget, not delivering what it was supposed to. So that's 780% over budget. We're not doing that anymore. Number two, another batch of DoD grants, $360 million worth this time. Decarbonizing emissions from Navy ships, part of the Obama-Biden green agenda. That's $6 million. $5.2 million on something that would diversify and engage the Navy by engaging underrepresented BIPOC students and scholars. Another $9 million at a university to approach equitable AI and machine learning models. I need lethal machine learning models, not equitable machine learning models. And number three, in our ongoing effort to cut wasteful spending on external consulting services, $30 million in contracts with Gartner and McKinsey. It's IT, purchasing, unused licenses. So when you add it all up, $580 million in DoD contracts and grants, DOGE is helping us cut today. What does that bring our total number up? Total cuts, running total, $800 million in wasteful spending canceled over the first few weeks as DoD partners with DOGE here to make sure that our warfighters have what they need by cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse. They're working hard. We're working hard with them. We appreciate the work that they're doing.
Oh, man.
And we have a lot more coming, so stay tuned. So might as well not waste any more time right now. Just sign this thing. How about that? So this makes it official.
Go, Pete.
We're going to keep going for you guys.
Yes. You wouldn't have got that from the bright light. You wouldn't have got that from the old administration, right? Any way, shape, or form. Dude, things are cool right now. They're very cool right now. You know, look at all this. Look at this. Couple months in, he's already helping save us almost $1 billion in waste. $800 million in waste stopped. He just signed it. Whoop, see ya. Done. It's so nice to have cool people in charge, base people in charge. And I know there's a lot of mind control victims out there running their mouths. They're programmed by other people. They don't even know that they don't even know they're being puppeted. They don't know that they're on emotional puppet strings. They have no idea, and that's sad. But let's be thankful and grateful for, one, not being them, two, having each other, and three, having done the hard work and to get people like us and and be represented finally in our government, so that we could hopefully reform it to the point that it works right and we can have a bright future with it. Hopefully resisting any more challenges like we faced in our lifetime with it. We are a very special group of people that have had the opportunity to save America, and we've done what we can to help it so far. We'll continue to keep doing that. And should we succeed, we will have the greatest country back on track. And that would lead to maybe perhaps the greatest condition of the entire world as a whole at once. That would be great, right? Down the road, generations to come. But right now, we are the warriors in the trenches, fighting for the very last bastion of freedom and liberty on the planet. And should we succeed with our great power and our great resources and our great ability to succeed and win here, we could very well catalyze a better life for not just people in our country, but people around the world. But, you know, one thing at a time, get our house in order, and we're doing it the right way. So if you like what Pete had to say there at the end, you're going to love his book. So you should follow us over to Rumble right now and get in that chat. When you get there, make sure you hit thumbs up and you say hello, so I know you're there. We're going to get reading this book. We're reading chapters 8 and 9 tonight. Chapter 8, supporting DEI means soldiers die. Chapter 9, men in need purpose, not inclusion. These are going to be dynamite chapters. This whole book's been awesome. You saw Pete, he's cool as the other side of the pillow. So come listen to his book, check it out. And if you dig it and it's your first time here, I got a whole playlist. We can get caught up in every single chapter in no time flat. And we'll be wrapping up this book in about 3 more episodes. So make sure you hang out with us. Be part of the reading club we known as Unrig the Game, where we learn all kinds of cool things. And we're on our 6th book. And if you like reading and you miss reading, this is the perfect show for you, a perfect crew to hang out with. All right, guys. Hey, Rumble, we're coming your way. All right. YouTube, guys, thank you so much. This kickoff show is officially over. And so we're taking off. And so YouTube, until tomorrow night, 7:45 p.m. Eastern for Winning Tonight. Later.
Man, everyone's tensed up for a Rumble.